If you've noticed that your hair has been at a certain point for quite some time, you're probably doing something wrong. And trust me, I've been there. I've been having problem with stagnant growth for a long time. So I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I changed that helped me to break out of that stagnant growth. The reason why your hair is stuck at a certain length is because you're not taking care of your ends. Your ends are the oldest part of your hair, and they are very, very important for length retention. Because everybody's hair grows, and the reason why your hair is stagnant is because your ends are breaking off and you're not getting that length, you're not retaining length. There are several factors that can contribute to split ends, and the first one is chemical processing like relaxers or dyes. This can cause your end to split up. The next thing is heat treatment. If you're using too much heat on your hair, that can also affect your ends. That's why your ends are breaking off. The next thing is forcefully combing or brushing your hair. That's another thing that can cause split ends. And the last thing I'm going to mention is harsh weather. Whether it's a harsh like dry weather or extremely cold weather, this can dry out your hair and your ends, which can eventually cause them to split up and eventually break your hair. So the first thing I'm going to talk about on how to prevent split ends is being gentle to your hair when you're washing it. Wet hair is very vulnerable to damage, so it's important for you to take care of your hair gently when you're washing it and also when you're doing your conditioning. My scalp health and also my ends is one thing I don't play about when washing my hair. Like I mentioned before, wet hair is very vulnerable to damage, so you have to be very careful when doing this. The reason why I focus on my scalp is because it helps to remove buildups on my hair, which helps to increase my hair growth and leave a good environment for hair growth. And the reason why I focus on my ends is because it's the oldest part of my hair and I want it to be clean. I don't want it to be dry, and one way to keep that going is by making sure my hair is clean before going in with my moisture routine. So technically, when you're washing your hair, you have to be very gentle with it. With this, you don't need to be harsh with your hair. Just make sure your scalp is clean and your overall hair is clean also. Just make sure your hair is clean and be very gentle when doing this process. My length retention increased when I made this change to my routine. My scalp health improved and my ends felt like my ends started doing well. I started seeing a lot of length of my hair. That means I've started taking care of my ends. And just by doing this routine, like any small change you make to your routine goes a long way. You see it as something that is little, but it actually goes a long way. So trying this out is one way I've been able to retain length and see a lot of that growth on my hair, like show on my hair. Also, after washing your hair, don't use a towel. This dries out your ends and leave your hair very frizzy. So I always recommend using a microfiber towel or a shirt if you don't have one. So the next thing is detangling your hair. Most people still detangle a dry hair. I do not know why you're doing that, because you'll notice that your hair breaks off when you do this. So try and always moisturize your hair before detangling, whether that's or deep conditioning or also going in with water. But I like going in with water when I'm doing my detangling process. It just helps my hair to stay hydrated, and also it gives my hair a little bit of moisture for it to not get like snap off. Like I mentioned before, wet hair is prone to damage, so you also have to be careful when doing this because you don't want to break your hair. I also recommend you using a conditioner or any product that has a very good sleep. This helps your detangling process to be easier. And also there's one hack that I started doing now is finger detangling. That has made a huge change to my length retention because I can feel the knots on my hair, so I know what I'm taking down. But if you're using combs or you're using detangling brushes, this adds more tension on your hair, which can eventually break your hair and also can cause your hair to have to get damaged. So that's why I always recommend finger detangling, because you're gentle with your hair instead of using brushes or combs that will eventually add more tension to your hair and can cause over manipulation, which can also damage your hair. But if you want to use combs or detangling brushes, try and do your research on good detangling brushes, because I know that not all detangling brushes are good. And also, if you want to use a comb, always use a wide tooth comb. Don't use small combs. Make sure it's a wide tooth comb and start from the end of your hair and like from the tip of your hair and work your way through the length of your hair. That's one way. Like when I was using combs before, That's how I was able to detangle my hair, starting off with the tip of my hair, then working my way through the length of my hair. I'll show you in a clip on how I do this. I think I still have videos on me using white tooth comb. Also, to mention that do not rush this process. This is not something that you want to do in a haste, or you're going to rush this process. If not, you're eventually going to break off your ends, you're going to break your hair, and you see a lot of single strand knots, and also you're going to see a lot of thinning on your ends. So make sure you do not rush this process. This is something that you need to take your time on. If you want to rush your wash day, whatever process, do not rush taking down your hair and detangling your hair. This is very, very important to length retention, so please do not rush this process. So I found a clip on me detangling with a white tooth comb. You can see I'm starting from the ends of my hair, then working my way through. But before doing this, I've already finger detangled, so you can see my comb is running through my hair a lot easier. So I always still finger detangle before going in with any comb, but I do not go in with comb usually. I just wanted to show you guys how to do this properly. Then after detangling my hair, I always put my hair back in a section because I do not want it to get tangled back. That's something else I forgot to mention. When you're done detangling, always put it back in a section. This helps to keep your hair secured and also prevents it from getting tangled after, and you having to do that again, which is over manipulation. So yeah, always make sure you put it back in a section. So the next thing is hydration. Hydration, moisture is very important if you have natural hair, because like I mentioned before, one reason why you're getting your split ends is because your ends are dry, which causes them to split up and eventually break off your hair. That's why you're stuck in a particular hair length, or your hair is getting shorter. So you need to master your moisture routine or your hydration routine. So always make sure that after washing your hair, you condition your hair. This helps to bring the moisture back in your hair, especially if you use a clarifying shampoo. If you're one that uses a clarifying shampoo, you need to make sure that you always condition your hair. This helps to make your hair bring in the moisture back in your hair. Basically, there's so many ways I do my moisture routine. I also deep condition because I have high porosity and my hair tends to dry out fast, so I like to go in with any form of added moisture, which is deep conditioning. Like you saw there, I put in my shower cap, I deep condition my hair to give it that added moisture, then I rinse it out because I'm not using a leave-in conditioner. I can always use a leave-in conditioner, but in this particular video, I was using just a conditioner. I'm also going to show you another way I also keep my hair moisturized and hydrated. Using aloe vera is another way I keep my hair moisturized or hydrated in between before I have to go in with another wash day routine. Aloe vera has so many properties that help in reducing hair loss and breakage, which eventually leads to increasing your hair growth. And also, if you're doing these things like I mentioned in the video, you'll be able to retain length by protecting your ends. So aloe vera is one way I keep in moisture on my hair before going in with wash day. It has so many benefits and it's so moisturizing to my hair. Like guys, if you've not tried it, go and try it. And it also helps to grow your hair. So definitely try this. This is one thing I always recommend on my channel. I have so many videos raving about aloe vera. It's very good, it's very nice. I love how my hair feels after. You can use this as just a normal leave-in, but if you don't want it as a leave-in, you can always rinse it out, or you can do it as a hair mask, like deep condition, to just get it to penetrate your hair shaft better. There are so many ways you can use aloe vera, and there are so many other things that you can do to your hair to keep your hair hydrated. Whatever works for you. If you have low porosity, if you have high porosity, whatever works for you, any way to keep your hair moisturized and hydrated. But just make sure that your ends are always moisturized, are always hydrated, because you don't want them to split up, you don't want them to get dry and eventually damage your hair. So yeah, always make sure that your ends stay hydrated. So the next thing is try and reduce the amount of heat you put to your hair. I don't have a video of me using heat to my hair because it's something I do not do at all. I haven't tried it, so I won't say don't do it, but at the same time it can cause your ends to break off. So definitely reduce the way you use heat to your hair. There are alternative ways to stretch out your hair if that's why you use heat to your hair. You can try out twist outs, you can try out African threading or threading in general. Just try to reduce the heat you add to your hair. And if you want to really use heat to your hair, try and use heat protectant. Use a good amount of heat protectant, because I notice people use small amounts that is not good enough for that particular section that they want to do. They want to add heat to your hair. So make sure you use heat protectant if you want to add heat, or try, like, if you can avoid heat, that would be very awesome, because one reason why your ends are breaking off and you're not seeing length is because you're using way too much heat on your hair. I need to dial back on that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about are mainly for people that use dyes on their hair, like they dye their hair is relaxed or whatever. Like, what if your hair is chemically dyed or your hair is chemically treated? Yeah. So one thing I'll recommend is doing hair masks. This is one way you can bring in that intense moisture back to your hair strands, because you use chemicals in your hair, so your hair is not at its best. So you need to make sure you're constantly doing like a moisture routine or a moisture treatment. I have you can use honey. I know honey is very good at trying to honey is good to, like, for moisture, for intense moisture. Any product that has honey, yeah, that product is good for a hair mask. I'll definitely recommend the Shea Moisture Honey Mask. That one is very good. And also, if you want to do DIY your hair mask, you can always do that. Make sure you add honey. I know avocados are good, and you can go in with whatever lightweight oil you want to add to it. But if your hair is chemically treated or your hair is chemically processed, or is it dyed, yeah, just make sure that you do hair masks regularly, or you do treatments like protein treatment to help to strengthen your hair. There are so many treatments that you can try: moisture treatment, hair masks, protein treatment, deep conditioning, just treatments that help to improve, like, add moisture to your hair, because your hair tends to dry out fast, and also your hair is that is chemically treated. So you need to make sure that your hair is moisturized, your hair isn't dry, because eventually your ends can break off and you can see damage, you can see your hair breaking off a lot. So try and improve in your moisture routine or your moisture treatment if you have added chemicals to your hair. Yeah. So the next thing is sleeping with a silk pillowcase or your hair bonnet. This is something that you should regularly do. It's not something that you should do sometimes. Sleeping with your hair bonnet is very important. And also, if you eventually, like, you probably sleep off and you don't put your bonnet, make sure you're using a silk pillowcase. I prefer using my hair bonnet because I do not forget to do that. Like my routine. What this does is that it helps your hair to retain the moisture it has, because if you're sleeping without your bonnet, the friction on your pillowcase or on your bed sheet or your hands, or you just turning around in bed when you're sleeping, can eventually lead to single strand knots. And also, the material on your bed sheet or your pillowcase can absorb the moisture on your hair strands, which can leave your hair feeling dry, and eventually they're going to tangle up, get knots, and they're going to break off. So the reason why you use bonnet and you use silk pillowcases basically is to protect your hair from that friction, and to prevent the material on your pillowcase or your bed sheet to absorb the moisture on your hair, which is going to leave your hair feeling dry after. So the next I'm going to talk about is reducing manipulating your hair. So you need to reduce the manipulation on your hair, because too much manipulation on your hair can lead to hair loss and can also lead to damaging your hair, because you're always combing your hair, you're always brushing your hair, you're always doing something to your hair, which can be too much tension on your hair. And eventually you can, like, anytime you brush your hair, you do a hairstyle, you change your hairstyles all the time, trust me, something is going to come out, like hair strands are going to come out, whether that is shedded hair or your hair is breaking, like one way or the other, hair is going to come out from your hair. So one way to reduce manipulation on your hair is protective hairstyles. I'm currently on a 3-month challenge where I do long-term protective hairstyles to retain length. So if you want to join in on that challenge, you can join in by subscribing so that you get updated on the whole process, and you can start out, like you're never too late to start out on this process. Like currently on this video, I'm currently clocking 2 months on my protective hairstyle, and I'm doing a 3-month challenge. So don't forget to subscribe so that you can get updated on the journey. And I have so many videos on my last hair challenge that you can check out. But that's one thing I'll say, the way I've been able to retain length and also keep my ends protected is protective hairstyles. And also I do protective hairstyles without extensions, but if you want to add extensions, that's fine by you, but I prefer not adding extensions because of the particular hair strands I have. I have fine hair strands, and extensions tend to weigh them down and eventually break them off. So yeah, choosing a good protective hairstyle for your particular hair is also very important, because you can put in protective hairstyles and yeah, the cause of your problems, because that was me before. I was doing the wrong protective hairstyle for my particular hair. So if you've noticed that your hair doesn't accept certain protective hairstyles, I think it's time for you to stop, and it's probably why you're not retaining length or your hair is stagnant. Like I mentioned, one small change you make on your routine can eventually change your hair. So the reason why you're not retaining length can be your protective hairstyle. So we're finally on the last thing, and the last thing I would say is patience. I've probably not mentioned this in my previous videos, but I thought to mention it. Patience is key. You won't see your changes immediately, but the changes happen slowly and eventually you'll see it. Like I mentioned before, your hair grows like half an inch to an inch every month. So if you want to be able to retain that length, long-term protective hairstyle should be your friend. And also it takes patience. Like for instance, I started being intentional with my hair journey from 2020, and this is 2024. I was still making a lot of mistakes up to 2023. Then I stopped them because I was doing the wrong protective hairstyles for my hair. Then immediately I stopped that, I've seen so much growth and changes to my head during this short period compared from 2020 up till now. So yeah, that's what I said before. Any small change you make to your routine can immediately alter your hair care routine in general. So try and be patient with your hair. Try to learn what your hair likes and what it doesn't like. Be listening to your hair. Your hair will basically tell you what it wants. So just try to listen to your hair. When your hair is feeling dry, go in with moisture routine. When your hair is feeling dull, go in with a treatment. Just try to know what your hair loves and stick to it. That's one thing I will say. So yeah, this is getting close to the end of this video. This is the end of this video. Let me know in the comment section what you think, or whether you'll be making these changes to your routine. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.